Okay, so in this video we're looking at the mechanics of the swing. How does it work, right? Because you got this mountain and stuff here. Yeah, I'm scratching around at the bottom of the mountain. I've been looking at the golf swing for many years now, and it's probably back in early 2000 where I started to really like dig in and try and find some good info, because teaching was really difficult. So I was trying to find some answers. So the past 22 years I've been down here looking at the good stuff, right? Everything else up here, which is continuing to grow, is all of the stuff that you get in, all of the sort of conflicting information, right? All of the stuff that doesn't matter, right? I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule, so you should go and check it out. 80-20 rule. 20% of the input is responsible for 80% of the output. So that basically means that if you focus on the 20% of the important stuff in your golf swing that I'm going to help you focus on, then that's going to give you 80% of the results. So that's what we need to do, and that's what I'm going to do here at GForce Golf for you. You need to, stop trawling. If it's taking me this long to get here, to put this across to you like this, right? This simple information, imagine how long it's going to take you, right? Certainly if you started learning in the past 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 years, you're going to find it really difficult to find this stuff down here, the stuff that I look at, right? I've been coaching a long time now. I started teaching probably late 90s with the kids and stuff, and then started teaching adults early 2000. I got to a point though, I looked at some really good stuff, and you should go and check the work out. Shaun, Clement, he's brilliant. He's got some great analogies for the golf swing that'll really help things click for you. Quinton, Rotary swing, helped massively because it had a good system. It helped me coach, so it helped me get some sort of routine with my coaching. So those were really the two big influences for me back in early 2000. When YouTube started coming on the scene about 2004, I think it was. That really helped me out. But then I got a couple of years on from that, and I thought there's something not right here. So I started checking other stuff out, and one of my books, this one, Gabriele Wulf. I brought this when it first came out, probably 2007, and that really got me thinking. I thought there's something wrong here. We're focusing a lot of talk about positions and body parts and stuff like that, whereas if you look at the work of Gabriele Wulf, focusing on internal focus, which would be a body part, trying to turn your hips, or try and do something with your wrist, is actually making you worse, right? We need external focus, which is what this book's all about. So that's a great book and well worth checking out. What's good about these books is they're not just written and that's it, and the credit in the end is not the professor doing the work. They've actually done a lot of research. So you go to the back of the book, you look at references, and there's hundreds. Some of these books I'm looking at, they've looked at up to 200 different books, different references to get the information, and they do the testing to give you the answers, right? It's all in this stuff here. We've got Golfing Machine, fantastic book. This is going to be, this is where I got the idea about doing this mechanics video, which is going to be about what we call a double pendulum. So 1969, the double pendulum's in there, the flail we call it. So really good stuff in there. This book is you've got to get it, right? Because it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. Chris Riddoch, sports scientist, been around for many years. Go to the back of his book. I think there's about 160 different references, stuff he's looked at here. It's unbelievable the amount of research that they do to make these books, and then these books end up down here. Nobody gets to see them, right? And this is where your golf swing's really going to improve massively. What I like about this book is you can read it in a couple of hours because you'll be hooked on it. It's very simple, right? And he breaks it down really well, so that's a good one. This is a new one I got, Rob Gray. Again, this is a great book. I've only read it once. I'm going to go back and read it a few more times. This one is more about how you practice doing sort of random types of practice. He also references Gabriele Wulf as well, so he's very much on the external focus side of things. And a cool little book, everyone should get this. Ernst Jones, the Swing the Clubhead. This is a different one I've got here. There is one called Swing the Clubhead. This is like a combination of the two. Simple, gotta get them. That's $5. Right, what's down here then? So basically, your golf swing is a double pendulum. I'm no scientist, but I can understand this concept, and I know it works because I can do it, I can feel it. Right, so the pendulum is, like you get in a clock, there's your pendulum, yeah? And then it's got a pivot point there and it swings back and through, doesn't it? Right? The golf swing's got two pendulums. So one hanging from another, think of it like that. So here's the other one dangling down, attached to it. And it's got a pivot point here, like a hinge. So it will sort of pivot there and swing back and through. Okay, so in the golf swing, we have the same thing going on. So it looks a little bit like this. The shoulders and arms, there's the center of my chest, form pendulum 1. Alright, it's pendulum number 1. And then we have the wrist here and the golf club. Okay, this is pendulum number 2. Right? We don't try and apply any power to pendulum number 2. Right? That's really important to understand. So we're not trying to do anything with the hands, the wrists. We're not trying to manipulate the club and force it through or lean the shaft or put it in a position. We should be doing nothing with pendulum number 2, because pendulum number 1, the shoulders and arms, power will supply the power to pendulum number 2. That's how it works, basically. So when we swing the golf club, we get to the top of the swing. So your shoulders are turned, your wrists are hinged, here's your golf club, right? What we do on the way down, before we swing down, at the top of the swing we turned our shoulders. So it's important that your shoulders turn sort of down to the ground in like a steep fashion, so that left shoulder will turn down. So you can see my shoulders are steep, we don't want them level, so you don't want them up here. And your wrist cock, right, this is important because you've got to get this cock in the wrist here. We need to get this like 90-degree angle between the left arm and the club shaft. That's really important. And we've got to keep the wrist free. Okay, it's got to be nice and loose, nice and hingy. I'm not saying you have to grip it loose, because when you swing down as you build club head speed, your fingers will naturally tighten up instinctively. So it's nice to start relaxed and then almost let your brain, your central nervous system, do the calculations and apply the finger pressure to tighten the grip. But I can tighten my fingers on the grip and still keep a hinge, and that's the key point. Now here's the best bit, here's the simple part. On the downswing, we need to pull. Okay, we need to pull, that's the key. And we're pulling from here, we're pulling sort of, what feels like downwards, but it's more of a pulling the club around on a bit of a circular arc type thing. But we've got to pull from this point down. Now we don't pull vertically, because in the golf swing we tilt it over, right? We're bent forward, so we swing on a angle around our body. Let's say we swing around our body on a 45 degrees angle, for example. So when I pull down, I'm not pulling down like vertically, right? I'm not trying to steepen pull straight down and steepen that shaft like that, right? I'm just pulling the grip end of the club in the direction of the ball around my body. So if you can imagine this figure here, obviously this is flat, this is vertical, and that's how it would work. It would come down sort of parallel to this whiteboard. If I tilted the whiteboard at 45 degree angle, we would do the same thing. We'd just pull down, we'll pull down in the direction of the golf ball, and we'll swing in that circular motion around our body at 45 degrees. Okay, but the pull is the important bit, because I'm going to show you some stuff that I was messing around with yesterday, just to try and, you know, back up and give you a bit of confidence in what I'm talking about. So this contraption is a flail. It's basically 2 pieces of tubing, and it's got a hinge on it. Right, so that is basically trying to show you how your left arm and the club shaft are going to work in the golf swing. You know, where you want to get them at the top of your swing, and what you need to do to make that flail straighten out on impact, which is the key. Because when this thing straightens out here, this is where you're going to get the maximum club head speed, and you're going to get the club face to square up automatically. Remember, we're not applying any force to the second pendulum, right? So this is pendulum 1, remember? This is, you imagine that's your left arm. Number 2 is the golf club at the point here. This is the hinge, this is the wrist hinge. So remember, we're not applying any force from the hands. We're not trying to cast, right? If you do this, obviously you're not gonna be able to straighten it out, right? So this is basically gonna help you visualize how your downswing is gonna work and what you need to do to get that club square on the ball consistently with lots and lots of club head speed. So I messed around with it a little bit to begin with. I videoed it in slow motion. I let it go on its own weight to see what happened. And what I could see that it was actually releasing early, kicking forward quite early on its own weight, on its own momentum. Then I did another experiment where I was pulling for a little bit to a certain point, so I'd pull down and then let go. And it's still released early, right? So ideally, what we want is obviously this thing to straighten out as we're coming down. We want to maintain this angle here because we want to maintain a narrow radius or a tight downswing radius. That's really important. We don't want to be coming down and getting wide, right? Because one of the big reasons why you can't turn is because if you're coming into the downswing wide, where maybe you're casting or you're just not doing the downswing properly. If you start coming out wide, start casting, this thing gets wider, that stalls your body rotation. I talk about the ice skater when their arms are out, they twirl around slowly. When they tuck them in, tighter radius, they twirl around quicker. So in the downswing, we need that tight radius so we can use that angular momentum to turn easier without trying. So ideally on the way down, we're trying to maintain this angle. We're trying to make sure the wrists don't uncock until we get down to about here. Then they're going to go. Then they're going to release all that energy into the golf ball. So obviously you can see it doesn't work by letting it come down on its own. It doesn't work by giving it a little bit of help at the start because it still releases early. So what I've ended up doing, I was trying to maintain a pulling force on this point here, right? So this point here, this pulling action that I'm talking about is what I'm talking about here in the grips. At the top of the swing, we're trying to feel that we pull from here, pull down in the direction of the golf ball. Because that pulling down actually helps you maintain that wrist angle. I know a lot of you are losing it pretty early. You know, there's many reasons why, but we're just sticking with this today. But we're just trying to feel like we're pulling down. It's going to help you maintain that tight downswing radius, so you're going to turn a lot better. So my final experiment was to try and keep pulling. Right, I mean, luckily I had a bit of flexible hose here, so I was able to quickly think of something. to create that pulling force. Alright, so what I did was this. So I created quite a bit of tension there on the string, and then I tried to maintain that as I let it go. And as you can see in the video, how the thing straightened out, and that was maintaining that pull all the way down and through. So I think what you got to try and imagine is that this is your left arm, and you got your wrist here, the hinge, and then you got the club head here, right? So really this is the shoulder socket. Okay, right here, isn't it? Yeah. And obviously you've then got the golf club popping out. It's the same thing. Looks the same. Shoulder socket, left arm, hands, wrists, club. Alright. Coming down, we need to pull, we need to keep pulling on the golf club. Pull down and keep pulling all the way through. So in a downswing, you're creating a lot of force from that movement. And that force is trying to make things swing out, right? So for example, it's trying to make your wrists uncock and swing outward. That's why you have to keep pulling downward to prevent that from happening. It's trying to make your arms swing out. If you stood with your arms relaxed by your side and start twirling around, your arms want to swing out, right? So we need to make sure we're keeping that tight downswing radius. So as we're coming down, we're pulling down. We're feeling like the arms are staying close to the body. We're trying to prevent everything from swinging out, because if you're getting into this position here before you've even got to the ball, you need to compensate, right? Because you're going to miss it. You're going to get in such a bad position, and your body's very quick at reacting and compensating. You'll do something with your body, you'll do something with your wrist to hit it. It's an inefficient swing, right? We need an efficient golf swing, and everybody can do it. You know, you understand the basics of the mechanics. If we can get to the top, left arm, cut the wrists, right? If we can pull down from here, it's going to maintain the angle there as we're coming down. Maintaining that angle keeps that radius tight, so then we can turn easier, like an ice skater twirling with their arms tucked in. Then as the head starts to release and swing forwards, it's going to do it at the right time. It's going to deliver all of the club head speed, but more importantly, it's going to deliver your club face to the ball square, consistently square, with no manipulation. That's how you want to swing. That is how to swing the golf club, right? There's plenty of methods out there that you can go and follow, but ultimately you got to look at the mechanics of the swing. That's where the real answers lie. I know you're thinking, well, I've got to start from the ground up. I've got to start my downswing from the ground up. Well, I'm going to be talking about that in the next video. So we are going to talk about the forces in the golf swing and how you need to harness them. Because you can do three things, right? You can harness them, you can do nothing with them, or you can overpower them, right? So you're probably doing two of those three things. You're either doing nothing with them, or you're overpowering them. So overpowering them would be, you're not swinging very well, club's coming down in the wrong position, you're then trying to do something with it, overpowering that force or trying to compensate for it. What we need to do is harness it, and I can show you exactly how to do that in the next video. I'm going to be talking about the forces that you create in the golf swing. So you're creating from this movement. If you get this movement right, do everything that I've talked about and follow it, you're going to create a tremendous amount of force, right? But you've got to know what to do with that force. You've got to be prepared for it, okay? Because if you're prepared for it, and I'm going to show you how to do that, you will strike the ball like you've never struck the ball before in your life, all right? There's a way to do it properly. There's a way that we can do this consistently over and over again. Guaranteed, right? Because all we're trying to do with this golf ball, and when I do it properly, this is how it feels. we squash it. All right, so let's say that's your golf ball. We compress it. All right, so there's 2 shots I hit when I'm practicing. When I'm warming up, when I know it's not quite there, I'm not compressing that ball fully. I'm hitting it, it feels good, you know, it feels solid, but I know it's not the one. And when I get the one, it feels completely different because I squash that ball a hell of a lot more. It comes off quicker, it hits the net in a completely different way, and it feels unbelievable. And that's how we need to strike the golf ball. You can't compress the ball as much as I do, or any tour player does, if you're getting into this position, or if you're trying to manufacture like forward shuffling and all that stuff that you don't need to do, right? If you understand how to swing efficiently, you know, get this first move right, the pull down, and then harness the forces, you'll get it, and you'll just keep doing it over and over again. You'll do it through feel. You won't have to think about the swing, which is what's destroying you right now. So yeah, I'm no expert on this whole like physics and mechanics thing, but you know, I've done a lot of research. I've definitely looked at a lot of books and read stuff, and I've been able to apply that into my swing, so I can sort of feel what I've been researching and sort of looking at over the years. And I definitely know the difference between a good strike and a bad one, and a really good strike compared to a good strike. So I'm going to be able to put that across to you, give you some real simple guidance on how to practice that. You know, I'm going to be doing like a 10-minute routine that you should do every day. Do it before you go and play, do it when you get home after work, do it on the evening. You know, even if you did that twice a day, 3 times a day, you would get really good really quick, right? Because there's just a very simple few things that you need to follow, and then just keep doing them until it clicks, okay? Because once you've got this proper swing action, once you've got the mechanics, once you know how to harness the forces, and then you can strike a ball properly, you then can do other stuff with it. You can do the drawing, fading, hitting it low, you know, hooking it, calling your shot on demand. You can literally go out and think your way around the golf course. That's how the top players in the world do it. That's how I do it when I go and play well. You know, you think about the shot you want to play, you visualize it, and you let the mechanics take care of it. All right, that's how it works. So that's how we're going to do it. Appreciate you watching this video. Any comments, just drop them in the comments below. Next video, the forces in the golf swing, how to harness them, the icing on the cake basically. So this is the one. You know, a lot of you will be building a lot of force, you know, a lot of power, speed and all that stuff, but you're not using it by the time you get to the ball, right? You don't know how to use it, you've never been told, you've never felt it. So I'm going to go through all that and get you back on the right track. Thanks for watching.